you so much, Zoe. Hi, guys. You know what? You guys must really like 3-0 Overwatch because I'm on Jake's side here. I want to see at least a map taken from the Valiant. This team has a lot to prove, but I'm excited because this is the first look that we get to look at the rookies coming in from the Valiant that isn't, the pro aim. And Vancouver Titans, they looked pretty hot yesterday. Of course, Florida Mayhem is definitely on our radars of being one of the best teams in the league at the moment, and they still looked fantastic. Sugar Free, there's a lot of pressure on this rookie, and he really showed up yesterday, but he has to continuously keep showing up for the rest of the Titans, Necro.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you here, and I also agree with Jake. Sorry, folks. I think we're going to get a 3-1 here. Maybe Seeker is going to pop off, and I think that in this map set, there are absolutely worlds where I see that Ramatra Brawl working that we ended up seeing as one of the main looks from the LA Valiant during the Pro-Am, and that's actually our very first map of this set in this first to 3. It's going to be that Antarctic Peninsula, where I really feel like when you look at Icebreaker, you look at sub-level, that's a really great way to make that Ramatra Brawl powerful.
To follow up on that, now that we are going to AP for our first map, as we can see right here, seeing the Ramatra coming in from the LA Valiant, potentially, especially after we saw that showcase from the Pro-Am, I'm like putting all my stocks on that preseason tournament, but it just really is what enlightens us to see what these teams are going to come out with. And kind of comparing it to the performance from what we saw from Punk yesterday, Necro, what do you think is going to come in between Punk and Crawley?
I think Crowley showed us a lot of the Ramatra during the Pro-Am, and so I was expecting to maybe see a little bit there, but that's where I have a lot of question marks over the LA Valiant as a team. I feel like they can show us a lot more that's in their back pocket as
all right.
That match chat. So you guys gotta win first before you talk about the money, or maybe that is the main motivator here. But hey, at this point, it looks like it is gonna be the Winstons. They're gonna be coming out from both teams, and so this is a composition we've seen a lot of teams start to rely upon when you're able to pair something like the Sombra and the Tracer, but Seeker is that wild card factor, Vicky. Playing the Hanzo, already able to get a pick and start things off right here for the Valiant.
If you want to check the Titans right now, we've been highlighting Sugar Free. He's been that main storyline when we highlight the Titans as that rookie that's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders to prove to everybody else that hasn't been following contenders what an insane DPS player he is. And Seeker is right there to check him already off the gates. Point already open up here as the Titans are going to be able to try to move their way over onto that point. Spire taking a nice off angle as Seeker continuously tries to find those open sightlines to harass Crimson.
Yeah, Crimson had a little bit of trouble staying alive yesterday, but as soon as they were able to keep him up and active, Vancouver Titans started to look really good. But Punk is going to fall here with that main source of frontline gone. Los Angeles Valiant may be able to take this point back.
That was such a nice check right there, too, between CJ and Liar. Crimson threw that anti, hit the backline, and Punk immediately tried to follow up on that and then got shut down from Liar win that shield bash. Great positioning here from the Valley on this high ground, and this is where it gets a little tricky. Yeah, you have those open sight lines, and you can see Titans now trying to take a different approach here. And unfortunately, with the Spire going down, they won't be able to build up into that EMP of this fight.
This is a huge delay for the Vancouver Titans as we look at LA Valiant continuing to build up capture percentage on this point. And when Crowley's also going to play bouncer at the door, Valiant can just continue to roll with this. They can keep these angles that they've set up. I love that you called out the high ground here. We get a really nice vantage point of what that looks like. If we wanted to see Punk go after CJ or Seeker that are playing on that high ground, they are committing a ton of cooldowns to be able to actually reach that point. And at that point as well, they're just super vulnerable to being taken out.
We love hyping up the rookies out here. We see the Nano Boost coming in as Sugar Free's trying to move in with the Pulse Bomb. They're trying to do something about the positioning of the Valiant between Seeker, who does get hacked, about to get the Dragons online. Nas shuts down Sugar Free in the process. Nice ult economy coming in from the side of Valiant. Punk did get hit with that anti. He is able to get away in time, and he will have Primal to re-engage for that next fight, as well as Aspire having that EMP.
Yeah, that EMP is going to be the biggest difference maker here for the Titans, and this is where it's going to really count, because Valiant at this point have already worked their way up to a last fight territory where it's EMP now or EMP never.
Oh, the EMP coming in the moment the rally gets popped. Shutting down Seeker, shutting down Liar and CJ. Liar manages to get away in time as Sugar Free was able to find that initial pick. Good repositioning, good disengage. Now you see Aspire making the quick swap into the Soldier so that way he can try to contest Seeker, who also makes a swap over to the Soldier. Here comes Cry as the overtime ticking away in favor for the Valiant. The anti getting hit onto Cry, and Nas manages to find Punk. They've been shutting him down amazingly right before that sound barrier from Faith was able to help out Punk just a tad bit late, a frame late here. Overtime ticking away here for this first round, and the Valiant are looking great. Cry is taking a quick nap, and the Nano Boost was put onto him, so it does delay a bit. Good positioning here from Aspires. He does find Nas, but he trades it immediately for Cry. He splits that attention onto him. Sugar Free's been doing a good job at trying to check the backline here. CJ is also going to go down. Overtime now as it takes away, it's going to be swapped over here as the Titans are doing their best to stay alive, and they have been able to manage to force Valiant off.
They did. I mean, the EMP ended up hitting 3 members of the Valiant, and so that was enough for Vancouver Titans to recover their percentage here. And they still have a big mountain to climb. You have the Nano Boost from Crimzo, which is a great start to being able to deal with that problem. But it's not going to be enough to get Punk up to this Primal Rage unless he goes absolutely sicko mode here with the Winston. And even still, you're looking at Valiant giving themselves 2 fights to get up to powerful ultimates of their own.
Goes that Nano Boost. Punk gets put to sleep immediately after. Somebody wakes them up. Here's CJ's taking a lot of that pressure, just trying to get away in time. Love the check now coming in for Pride, but a nice anti also coming in from Crimzo. Managed to restabilize. Nas unfortunately goes down. Spire again in that backline in such a good positioning here. And it's that disengage that we're now seeing as the Titans still rack up some of that percentage to match that with the Valiant's 99%.
I mean, the Valiant just took an eco push here. They didn't need to be able to use anything. They didn't have anything in the bank, but at least you know that they have the rally now to be able to go in and contest with some of these backline members of the Titans. Also really helps you too, because Aspire shouldn't be able to just headshot your team if you do have that armor on top of you, and that's really what they're trying to mitigate here is Aspire's pick potential.
He does get hit with that anti, so does Liar. Crimso's been on the top of this as Sugar Free is going to be able to get that follow-up. Crawley took a nap, he gets immediately deleted by Aspire. Getting that backline right behind the point. Such a crucial positioning here as Punk gets hit with another anti. He tries to get out of that line of sight. Faith now getting the follow-up. We see some trades coming in with Faith and Punk going down. Number advantage still in favor of the Titans as Crawley and Liar still left on the point. Sugar Free clearing the rest. The Titans have managed to not only flip the point, but force the Valiant to stay off, and they did not allow them to flip it, and not even once after they got to that 99% Necro.
I mean, Sugar Free. Well, what more is there we could talk about with this player? Because Sugar Free played such a pivotal role in Vancouver Titans winning Havana yesterday versus the Florida Mayhem, and also making that Coliseo map so close. And I want to take another look at a replay here from Sugar Free, because it just felt like every single time Sugar Free was able to get on the board, it was just nice follow-up on top of other damage that had been put down from the rest of the team. So I feel like the call-outs here for the Titans are getting just a bit cleaner. They may have needed half of that round to really ramp up.
His tracking's insane. In that one round alone, he had over a K damage more than Nas right there too. Really impressive. And again, I just want to call out Crimzo and Faith and their positioning too to help enable Sugar Free. Crimzo's been on top of those antis. We do see the Roger now coming out from Punk. Saw this earlier before too. Like this look from the Titans, and I also like the way that the Valiant trying to play more passively here, but they are going to allow that point to go in favor for the Titans if they don't try to engage here, as Sugar Free's trying to take a cheeky angle.
Well, I want to talk about the fact that we're seeing Bastion, May, and Reinhardt in this brawl composition from the Valiant. Seeker's about to go crazy here, just going after members left and right.
Oh, they didn't see that coming. They didn't see it coming. The follow-up in the immortality field coming in from CJ, keeping everybody in that back end of the point. Punk going down as the Titans going back to the drawing board just to regroup here too. All right, Valiant, with Seeker coming out of the Bastion, how long is this going to work, Necro?
I mean, it's about whether or not they can keep the defensive position here. Valiant won the first fight. I guess they're going to keep staggering the Titans here too, as Nos gets a big pick onto Sugar Free, and that's going to delay the re-entry of the Titans and actually just allow the Valiant to go aggressive here. They're just going to go towards that spawn for Titans. And I love Liar being able to play with this Lucio speed to help enable the movement on this team. It's allowing them to get these really quick pivots and rotations positions and set up Seeker in the perfect position with the Bastion.
So 100% agree there too. Look how quickly they were to just cut off the rotation attempt from Titans in the back end. Here on Labs, it provides a lot of those open angles for Aspire to really profit off of the Hanzo. But the moment that the Valiant saw where Titans wanted to counter-rotate, quickly Lyre was able to set up the team in position.
I think something that makes it so difficult about this map in particular is that when you have these walls, you have just very limited entry points, and with that point, the way that it is, kind of more of like this, I'm gonna call it a rectangle, it's really not, but you know, it's a little bit longer than some of the other control points that we have. You just are able to rotate way quicker, and it's working. Except for the Seeker's down. Maybe this is the moment that Titans need.
Talk about changing plans up here to immediately round and wrap around the Valiants right after Nas tossed out that Blizzard to try to contest that choke point that they originally tried to go through originally for the last fight. Now they cleaned up the entire point around Valiant, and it's going to be a reset as the Titans manage to take control of the ball.
Okay, we're gonna see ultimate use here by Seeker. I feel like that was not the best use of that. Would rather see that go over to passive ultimate charge for the Hanzo, but we are seeing Krawi make a bit of a pivot. Was on the Reinhardt before to be able to protect Seeker's Bastion, but it's gonna be back to more of the Ramatra Brawl. A look that we were hoping to see from them, Vicky, just knowing how they were able to use this in a Pro-Am to that 2-2 success.
Love seeing it come out. Double Vortex out too, controlling so much of the space on the point. Lyre does have that sound barrier. Faith can try to match that here too. That's still put the Valiant right back into position in an aggressive spot too. Faith is gonna be able to answer right back as Punk falls incredibly low. So does Sugar Free as he uses the recall. CJ in a lot of trouble, trying to have that immortality field at the ready. Talk about the positioning too that we're seeing from Seeker trying to contest Aspire. Sugar Free gets deleted the moment Seeker just peeks an eye on him. There's a barrier coming out too temporarily from Punk, but he is moving. They had to get 4 players to manage to contest Seeker as the reset from Valiant comes in.
Oh my god, the flick! Oh, I felt so bad for Sugar Free, but I was also really excited about seeing that play. This is the Seeker that we were hoping to see, just being able to hit some of these really clean shots. But yeah, Titans, after having to deal with the Bastion pick, finally feel like they found their footing again when you've got Aspire with the Dragon Strike able to split off the Valiant as they make another entrance for this final fight.
The right timing, they managed to get right through that choke point here. Sugar Free still holding on to the pole spawn now as Cry is also going to have that Nemesis form ready for that next fight. Seeker finding Crimzo. Again, right timing here. The Nemesis is popped. Immortality field from CJ doesn't save Lyre, but the Nas Blizzard is also able to control a good amount of space to find Punk here. Crimzo also is about to have the Amp Matrix. The same cannot be said for CJ as Fate is able to find him. Taking control over the point, 99% in favor for the Valiant, and overtime is taken away from the Titans.
Yep. Valiant might be able to do enough here, and it looks like they will to tie it up. Bastion, all right. Let's talk about this really quick, Vicky, because I feel like that's one of those heroes that you look at and go, why are they playing this in the Overwatch League, right? And Bastion is one of those heroes that, like, we were seeing this out of the Reaper yesterday. It's a really great way to actually check the team synergy on the other side. It worked. It worked, and now we're going to a 3rd round.
Which really, I love this. I love being able to see the team banter in the chat.
That's great.
And watch your heads out here. I mean, Seeker was definitely doing a good job at finding them. I think a good enough impact there. Tying up the rounds in this first map now as we roll out. Or 3rd map now. Or rather, 3rd round here. Titans still sticking with Punk on the Ramatra. Probably still sticking to the Reinhardt like we saw originally in the opening of that 2nd round, Necro.
And this is just goes back to the conversation that we had at the beginning of the day yesterday. Ramatra versus Reinhardt. Who really is able to get the upper hand here? Ramatra versus Rein, you could just like punch the Reinhardt into oblivion. That works too. But I think that the biggest difference maker here is that we've got the Hanzo and versus the Sojourn, and then the Mei really allows this brawl on the Valiant side to be tanky if they are able to get the first point capture.
See here with the position from Punk, he does have that high ground advantage, trying to boot him off as he does manage to drop down, as the Valiant still manage to take the point first here. Vortex controlling some space right in front of them as counter rotate does come in from Valiant, specifically from Cry, trying to get into position while the rest of the Valiant trying to come in. Huge anti and the cleanup from Punk, getting harassed at every angle from Sugar Free too. Ant Matrix now coming in, just trying to take advantage while just still holding on to the point, getting in some of that extra credit, Necro.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why you want to have Nos on this Mei. It's just that stall potential, being able to use the ice block, and fortunately it just delays the inevitable here, but for at least 25%, which feels really good. We are going to see Crowley switch off of the Reinhardt, though. I feel like on the receiving end of one of the reasons why we do have this discussion of Ramattra versus Reinhardt. Crowley got antied, Punk walked up to his face and punched him in it and sent him back to spawn. So I think you just have to start to match that. Otherwise, you are on the losing end of these engagements more often than not, unless your Reinhardt is absolutely exceptional. But we know that Punk can play an incredible tank. We saw that from the Junker Queen that Punk brought out last year, and he seems to pick up the Ramattra quite well too.
That's when it comes to this map here too on sub level. So many different angles as the Dragons try to split up the Valiant. Now the Nemesis is caught by Punk. He finds that immortality field. All of the Valiant are losing their own so quickly. This Nemesis is a problem as they clean up the entirety of the Valiant. You highlighted Punk for all the right reasons. Also getting into position with Faith there too, who's going to have that sound barrier for that next fight to match that with Flyer.
Yeah, the sound barriers are going to be so important here. I think if you were the Valiant, you would have loved to be able to have that for Punk's ultimate, but now you can at least use it to play an aggressive game. Whether it's going to be using the Blizzard to be able to kind of push the Titans into an area that you'd rather fight them, and then follow it up with an aggressive beat that can really help to get the Valiant back in this one, and they need it right now.
See here, Sugar Free does have that pulse bomb ready as the Blizzard gets called in. Nice immortality as well to allow them to find a Spire up in his face. Sound barrier now from Liar. Valiant do have the number advantage that their Titans did loot out on a Spire. Nas is taking a quick nap as Sugar Free sends out that pulse bomb. Doesn't find it smart right here. CJ's in the back angle. Finds Punk as Crowley gets the follow-up. Crowley went absolutely crazy, finding 3 in that fight. Flipping the point. 95% though still on board for Titans.
Yeah, I mean, Valiant have a lot of ultimates to rotate through, though, and so Titans are definitely going to want to take an eco push, come back into this one, and try to force out as many ultimates as possible. Feels like Seeker's ultimate here is very free, just to be able to allow the Valiant to get the fight into more positional favored for them, and then Crowley can follow that up with the Annihilation, and that's a great way to still play this aggressive game.
Vortex on the low ground to send that out as Crawley has control over that high ground. Now it's got hit with that anti coming in, manages to restabilize as the Nemesis form is trying to contest him. Alright, also has the ult at the ready, controlling so much space as Nas was protected by the immortality field, but not for very long after his fire is done with him. Seeker also at a different angle, needing some help. He manages to get away on time as Aspire's on that high ground. This contention at 72%. They're fighting some of these trades. Kari goes down in Titans, managing to flip the point after Punk pops that ult.
Yeah, that ult is going to be great to just have that insurance factor to be able to get this very first map. But Valiant made that look really competitive, Vicky. Yeah. I really loved what we saw coming out from them on that second round, and it felt like that was a big turning point for them, and hopefully they've got more in the tank to show us for the rest of the series.
It was a very big back and forth here too. I mean, we expect a lot from the Titans, especially looking at the roster that they have to provide to us, but we also had some nice moments at the very beginning, catching us off guard immediately with the swap-ups too. You mentioned the Bastion for that second round. Look at this snipe all the way at the very end here. Crimzo getting hit by CJ from across the field. Saw some nice moments from Sugar Free, just as we did yesterday. Such an insane player here too. But I really like the look that we saw between the duke-up performances between Crowley and Punk.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight CJ just a little bit more because we got a little bit of a glimpse of CJ's impact in that first round, just to be able to see those anti-grenades come through. I think that CJ has a lot to show us as a rookie in the Overwatch League, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to bring to the table for the rest of the season, because even just after this first map, I think CJ is a player that, especially when the meta is so flex support favored, you have to keep an eye on.
He put in so much much healing, so much damage, like over 18k healing, over 5.6k damage on the board, and it was really quick to try to enable Nas and Seeker, but man, the DPS diff between Aspire and Sugar Free on that first map was just on another level. We are going on to map number 2 on King's Row, and that's going to be on the other side of this break.
this one around. They've lost their jungle queen already, and he finds Isu again. Starts up big. 4-4. Oh, make that a 4. I'm a threat. It's a bit. I'm telling you, Faith is an insane ring player. Advantage down, but there's no more lifelines. L&L, and yet it might not matter. Sugar Crystal super early anti-air play.
Welcome back, everybody. We just finished our first map on Antarctic Peninsula. Titans taking us already past that map, going on to map number 2, Necra. We got Kings Row on our hands, so we saw a rather close map already, going on to round number 3 against the Valiant.
Yeah, we did. I mean, the fact that we saw the Valiant end up taking that round of Icebreaker with that Bastion strategy, I really want to see them come out with something that's a bit more creative like that. Going over to Kings Row, this is a map that every team is going to have a lot of experience with, and it might just take a little bit of that surprise factor in order to make sure that they are going to be able to contend with the Titans.
Especially seeing the impact, you talked about it earlier, CJ was out here. I mean, not only did he go over 18k on the healing for that first map, but he was able to contest the amount of kills like he was able to get alongside Seeker and Nas. So his impact was definitely out here as we get to see the Titans defending first. Interesting to see what the Valiant is going to try to roll out here. Even talking about Seeker, who was finding a lot of those headies at the very beginning of that first map.
Yeah, Seeker has been able to do a lot in terms of finding an opening pick for the Valiant to be able to move in on. And I would love to see whether or not they end up sticking to the Genji/Widowmaker here, just to be able to follow up with some type of dive. It feels like the Titans might be expecting that, just having Crimzo and Faith there with the Ana and the Brigida respectively, because the Brigida can help you a lot in terms of being able to keep Crimzo alive. You're able to throw a quick pack or even help out Sugar Free, for example, with a Tracer versus Tracer. But Valiant, here's another surprise. Vicky, we've seen a couple of teams now come out with this Zarya rush, and I think that might have to go back to the drawing board on this one.
They're gonna have to find a way to check Aspire on this high ground here too, because unless Liar just sets the Valiant up into position to counter rotate on the high ground, it's gonna be hard. It was like, I feel like I went back in time, Necro, to our contenders days where we saw Nas and Seeker try to come out with something similar. I mean, Nas being the flex DPS that he is, being one of the rookies coming in from contenders. Remember him playing with Seeker back in the day at random points on Noble, if I recall correctly, and here you have Seeker now just trying to find an opportunity to try to disperse that backline.
Yeah, Seeker's gonna have to play that disruption, especially when you have the mobility that Genji has, being able to wall climb, and also just jump into the back line, just completely bypassing Crimzo's cooldowns. But that's why you've got Faith there.
You got Faith and Aspire looking at you down the tunnel there too, and he finds Crawley all at the same time. The follow-up onto Liar. Aspire is a problem, and he needs to be dealt with already at the very beginning. You see Seeker even trying to take a quick cheeky shot before he swaps right back over to the Genji.
Yeah, at this point, Valiant right now need to get some ultimates online. The very first one that's going to come up for them is going to be that Moira Coalescence, and that should be able to help at least push the front line forward for the Valiant so that they can get into a better position to use their mobility cooldowns to access the back line. That way you don't have this problem where Valiant are taking, what, 20 seconds to try to get Seeker into a position that they can actually try to take out Crimzo or try to take out Aspire.
Especially when you're reaching less than that 2-minute mark here as a Nano Boost comes in. Here comes that Cole that you were mentioning before as Punk tries to jump away in time. He's also got that primal reset if necessary once finally try to engage, but don't think that's going to happen here with Nas going down again. Making 2 with Seeker. And the Valiant back to the drawing board. Titans are just doing such a good job at tearing apart the approach that Valiant trying to go in for with this Reaper and Zarya comp.
Yeah, something's got to change. And so you're going to see Nas actually go over to the Echo, maybe allowing for a bit more of a difficult target for Aspire to hit. I think the Reaper can be a little bit telegraphed when you do teleport or just even use the Wraith form. You have an idea of when that's going to expire and when Nas is going to be vulnerable again. And so being able to see the Echo here, I feel like gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of how you approach the high ground. It still doesn't matter. CJ gets bopped.
Oh man, the sound barrier now coming in, being able to help Nas and Cry, but they still lost out on Seeker and CJ. Seeker would have had the blade in that fight too if it was elongated enough, and Titans win another team fight. Now we're reaching less than that minute mark here for the Valiant.
And they're so up against a wall right now. They just used a ton of ultimates there, even to just approach the point, and Valiant still don't have anything in the tank except for the Genji blade that's going to be coming up shortly. But there's no way to be able to make it stronger. We don't have the nano boost available. Liar just switched over to the Ana, and so at this point, maybe you're hoping that a big anti-grenade is going to be the difference maker for making this blade successful or not. I think they would be okay just taking a pick here onto a high-value target like Crimzo.
Or at least try to do what they've been trying to do, which is force everybody off the high ground. Aspire also being the problem. He finds faith in the process after he tries to reposition here, tries to call out Sugar Free, who gets right away from his grasp. Now the follow-up comes in. This is what they needed with less than 10 seconds on the board. Yet Sugar Free and Punk are still finding the backline of the Valiant. Nas flying in, finding Sugar Free the problem. And they'll finally find some progress on the point. As overtime ticks away, there still is enough time, Necker, for the Titans to try to re-engage.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. They don't have any healing right now, and you're waiting for Liar to come back there on the Lucio, and they are able to do so and get the point capture. Looks like Titans just took just a touch too long to be able to come back in and get the recontest, and they also just simply didn't have all 5 members there to be able to do that safely. We're going to see a big switch up here for these comps. It's going to be the inclusion of the Sombra on both sides. And for Valiant here, it's going to be ultra important that they use these ultimates correctly and also find value so that they don't just get stuck in this archway.
About the archway, they want to clear that point immediately, especially that choke point can be so tricky as the beam comes in from Nas finding Punk, taking advantage of the Kitsune rush that CJ had laid out. Kari taking a nap right inside of his shield. Here comes Crimzo on the outside with some help from Sugar Free. The hack coming in from Seeker too, as they are able to isolate him down the middle of this alley. But clearing this point, rather this corner, is so important from the Valiant, because you talk about some difficult areas here to try to cross on King's Row in the second point. This high ground that does provide Titans some different angles to try to contest Valiant could be tricky to overcome.
Absolutely, and I think that's why this Echo can be really impactful here. You just have the ability to play around the roofs of buildings and make it a little bit more difficult for Vancouver Titans to try to get the drop on you with some sort of off angle. Especially when Nas has this duplicate ready. Aggro, aggro, aggro.
And he makes the duplicate, copying Punk at the same time as he gets hacked by Seeker, who's gonna get the EMP for this fight. Here comes a nano boost as he is able to find the EMP onto Sugar Free and Aspire. 6 seconds ticking away for the second point, and Liar is able to get that sound barrier trickling in with a lot of these ultimates. Faith is gonna be able to match that here too. Huge EMP, but didn't find Liar, who was off to the side, helping out the rest of the Valiant stay alive after that EMP with his sound barrier. But the picks need to come through as Croy finds Paul's low, so does Liar, and Punk and Aspire are able to re-engage.
Oh, that sound barrier was so clutch to be able to help the Valiant stay in this, but unfortunately the damage came through too fast and too quick there for the Titans in order to actually make use of that support. Now, this is where it gets really tricky. Valiant have only the Kitsune Rush in the tank. That should be able to at least get them the movement speed they need in order to contend with some of the damage from the Titans and at least clear that out, but they got to get to the point first and very quickly without losing anybody. Suzu has to be used here.
Oh, and CJ is able to use the rush here too. Overtime ticking away, and finding that first pick is so huge. Diving onto Punk, now having some of that extra space as Crypto is going to be able to back away. You can see Spire trying to contest too, trying to get that EMP as quickly as possible. Nas just get hacked here, and they are able to get that second point. I like the call from the Titans to just disengage so that way they can control that next corner once that payload goes around.
Yeah, and they don't want to lose anybody in the process either, right? So better to disengage and make sure that they are able to actually fight this as a team of 5. I wonder how they're going to kind of keep this moving though, because Sugar Free has been holding on to this pulse bomb for a while. They're just looking for the right opportunity to use it, and they're definitely going to want to land this on a nice target in order to just shut down the rest of the push of the Valiant and stop them from getting any more progress in this map. Valiant have bought themselves a lot of time.
Oh, I love the communication coming into the moment that you saw Nas getting hacked. Crawley put down that bubble, but he tried to get away with the rest of the team to just try to reposition, and it does cost Crawley his life there. Seeker does have that EMP, but if you look on the side of the Titans, they have that just the same to try to match that. Liar just a little bit ahead from Faith from having that sound barrier, Necra.
Yeah, I think that sound barrier needs to come up really fast as well because Aspire is in the backline of the Valiant waiting to shut everything down and might just want to strike.
Oh man, EMP hitting 3, Kari, Nas, Seeker. Nas manages to get away. Liar has a sound barrier, so does CJ with the rush. See Sugar Free on the high ground as he drops drunk. Here comes the sound barrier from Liar to keep Valiant alive as the rest of the Titans are trying to look for an opportunity to circle around him. EMP only finding Punk. Can they get the pick? He is chasing him down, but Punk manages to stay alive. Overtime now taking away as a Valiant cannot get off this cart.
No, they
Monkey.
can't, and that makes things really difficult, but Nas switching over to the Reaper might really help out with that.
Swapped over in that previous fight there too as Seeker finds Faith. He's got that Death Blossom ready. As the rush is activated, they're trying to hold forward. You can see that speed boost able to help out Nas as he teleports into the backline, dealing with the problem that is Aspire, and Crimson finds them and buys in some more time. Punk does find CJ, only leaving Liar for the sustainability. Don't think it's gonna be enough as Punk had that primal ready. The rest of the Titans between Sugar Free, Faith, and Punk are there to clear the rest of the points. Oh, he was right there. No.
Oh, that was a C9. Oh, that was actually a C9.
Again?
How many days has
cursed?
it been? We're cursed. It's me. It's my fault. When I was working with Jaws last year, I swear it was like every single game we had a C9 in it, and I think I might have accidentally taken that curse with me.
Look, cough, shock yesterday, but now seeing it again, I love the chat too. They're still talking about it.
How about we talk about how long a Sugar Free held onto that pulse bomb instead? I'm pivoting. I'm hard pivoting right now. So Sugar Free had that pulse bomb for like 3 fights. I actually think that Sugar Free would have been able to get another one on board had they just used it like when he had it. I don't think you need to wait for the pulse bomb to find a perfect target. I think you just use it. Especially with a DPS that is as proficient as Sugar Free. You're doing fine. You're doing fine, son. You're gonna get the pulse bomb back.
Maybe he's looking for an opportunity to find it getting attached. He hasn't attached a single pulse bomb so far on this map, but going on to the next round now as the Titans are on the attack. I just love the bench that we get to see in the chat. I love a Liar was like, I lied. Aspire's like, okay. All right, getting started here. No way.
Anyway.
Can't say that anymore, Liar. But I want to see the position that we're going to be seeing from Valiant, because man, did the Titans have such a good position on the high ground on their defense.
Yeah, Titans did, and so now Valiant actually playing more of a low ground approach, which you have to do with the Ramatra. It's not a hero that's super easy to be able to make mobile enough to just kind of drop down, unless you're going to be playing from farther away. But the wraparound here from the Titans just feels like it's overwhelming the Valiant right now.
Especially Aspire, who was a big problem on the high ground. I like the follow-ups that we've been seeing too between him and Punk. So just trying to help peel for Crimzo whenever Faith puts him into position. And now he's back in his god spot that we saw him in that last game, just trying to check to see down the hall. Gets pinged. He needs to get some heals here coming in from Faith. And they need to try to check these end corners because Crawley's taking a lot of that damage, Necro.
Yeah, Crowley is there to soak up a little bit of damage, but I don't know if CJ's hailing output is going to be enough, especially now that Crowley and Liar are antied. You just have to rely on that immortality field in order to make sure that you've bought yourself enough time to top them back up. But all the while, Aspire's having time to rotate.
Crimzo had that nano boost online so quick too, ready to put that onto Punk, who's clearing this choke point, shoving the Valiant off of that archway from their defense here as the answer back from Seeker comes in to prevent Punk from overextending anymore. Card playing off this low ground, they've still been finding a lot of success, but still you see Aspire that has been getting away with so much damage output on the high ground.
All right, Crimzo, show us what you got. That's some huge picks there. Crowley's just gonna go down.
Oh man, I like the attempt. The May wall, if it elevated Crawley, he had fallen off at the very end of that wall there too. Meanwhile, the Titans now cleared up that point. The Valiant have to reset, and they're still now gonna be able to get that payload out of the garage.
Oh, it looks so good for the Valiant too there on their defense. Just being able to outlast through that Primal Rage. We saw CJ got a really nice pick there onto Sugar Free to be able to delay that Tracer getting into the back line. But now that this card has started to get rolling, Valiant have no choice here but to play a little bit aggressively when Punk is going to start to fight on these stairs.
Trying to bring the fist out here. He sends out the vortex. He's got the annihilation ready as he tries to duke it out. Trying to control a lot of that space over on the side. The repositioning immediately from the Titans. They're so quick with it as the primal was also popped from Punk. Spire's trying to clear out that choke point. So the Ant Matrix is also unleashed. All the ults coming in as the sound barrier from the Valiant from Liar has kept the entire team alive in that choke point. Great looks here from the Valiant. And they're holding forward to make sure that they can find the stragglers here from Crimzo. He's about to get that nano boost.
Valiant may have won the fight, but I don't know if they're going to win the war here, Vicky. That was 5 ultimates that they threw at that team fight in order to actually keep the defense, and now it's got to pay off. Titans only use the Annihilation and the Dragon Strike, and so they can look at things like their own sound barrier, play a little bit aggressively. They've got another nano boost online because Crimzo's been popping off. And so these are a lot of tools that the Titans have at their disposal to just brute force their way through the Valiant right now.
The Rams are going to be butting heads here too now with Punk making that swap too. Talk about how expensive that fight was for the Valley, but man, Nas on this May has having a lot of impact. I mean, on Kings Row, you have more of those narrow angles so that way you can get through those corridors. Here comes a nano boost from Crimzo. Tide is having a lot more economy here compared. Huge anti as Spire takes care of the DPS lineup, and it's clean up on aisle 3 on the Valley as the Titans now have some room to breathe.
That was exactly what we were talking about. Valiant just throwing everything in the kitchen sink at the fight before this. Had nothing to be able to withstand through even just the nano boost alone from Crimzo. That was enough value that Titans were able to just pummel their way through the front line of the Valiant, and now they are looking at capturing the second checkpoint with a lot of ease. Not too many ways that Valiant can actually contend with the sound barrier for the aggro, and also just sugar-free in the back line, and we're even.
Nas has been checking Aspire a lot now that Fate pops the sound barrier. It's nice to highlight there because there's a difference between what we've been seeing between Seeker and Aspire. It's pretty big, huge ante on Crawley to finish him off too. Rest of the Valiant back to the drawing board as the Titans come out on top in another team fight. Contention coming in right before he meets the rest of his team in spawn.
Vicky, you were talking about the difference between Seeker and Aspire. Aspire right now is almost 2,000 damage above where Seeker is at the moment. And looking at just raw eliminations as well, there were 16 final blows, over double of what Seeker has at the moment. So you can really feel how much Aspire has been able to help out the team, whether it's through a first pick or just being able to clean up.
CJ got hit with an anti, got hit with a sleep, everything from Crimzo there. The Forces comes out as well as the Dragons. Dragons to match that, dueling it out, meaning you're on the ride as Sugar Free puts that pulse onto Crawley, taking him out. He had the Annihilation at the ready here too, as the Blizzard gets sent out. After he sends it out, though, he goes down immediately afterwards, getting a little ahead of himself when Crawley wasn't even there to help contest them. They're at the number disadvantage as the Titans now come out on top after another fight. So much time to work with here too. You got 2 minutes and less than 30 seconds.
At this point, Valiant gotta come out here on panic picks. It's gonna be Nas on the Genji Seeker, trying to get out of the spawn quicker with the Tracer, and the sound barrier has to be enough here from the Valiant to stave off the Titans.
Is it gonna be enough though? That's the question with Punk popping the Annihilation here too. Just finding the opportunity to also find Cry. It's lasting forever out here. Who think it's pre-patch with the way that they're trying to find the opportunity to clear that front line on the payload. Look at the Liar's positioning here too, trying to get out of the line of sight of Aspire, who's taking a good amount of damage. Nice long fight coming in here as Nas is going to try to be able to deflect Punk's pressure. See the Vortex right behind him. Crawley also taking a good amount of damage. I like CJ's positioning. He's got the nano boost ready. Seeker also has that pulse bomb. We need to see some impact here. Faith is about to have that sound barrier as he activates it after that anti comes onto Punk. Somebody also wakes him up. Not the impact we needed to see from Seeker, but a huge anti from Crimzo lands onto Nas and Liar. They're taking so much pressure. Necro 2 down from the Valiant. That sets Titans up in the driver's seat for that shiny box of victory, and they clear the points and they take map number 2.
Wow, that was a really convincing map there coming through from the Titans. It felt like as soon as the defense on the Valiant crumbled, it was just momentum after momentum swing here for the Titans just to continue their roll through King's Row. And in those final moments as well, it just really felt like they understood the assignment. Go after the back line of the LA Valiant, make sure that they don't have that healing available, and Crowley's unfortunately stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do you have to contest the cart, or do you have to go save your back line there? Titans made it really difficult for the Valiant to have that defense.
We also saw a difference in tank playstyles between Punk and Crawley. Punk played a lot more aggressive versus Crawley. I believe he had over 5k more damage, whereas Crawley had a lot more damage blocked. And in terms of the positioning too, Punk was definitely enabled by Crimzo, who was getting really nice sleeve tarts like you see right there.
Yeah.
Really nice antis, especially whenever he was sniping through the back line. You saw it even in the feed right there too. He managed to kick Crawley and Liar. I love what we saw from the Titans in that game. Now we're moving on to a map number 3, Necra, going on to Junkertown. Gotta see if the Valiant could do something about this, or if Titans is going to take this home while they sit at match point, and that's going to be on the other side of this break. everybody. The Vancouver Titans currently sit at match point. And with that, we're seeing some changes in the Valiant roster. Necro, the man, the legend who does everything. I mean, what can't he do? Paintbrush is going to be coming in for the support lineup. He's their coach. He's their, I believe, their social media manager. And I mean, he's probably an artist. If not, I think the reason why his name is Paintbrush is because of his hair. But I don't want to roast him like that.
There you go. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with Paintbrush coming into the roster to be able to fill in that support role over Liar right now. Maybe this is going to be a surprise factor here as we head over to Junkertown. But Paintbrush didn't see any play during the Pro-Am. It was just this roster of 5 that the Los Angeles Valiant have built for themselves for the season. And who knows? Maybe this is it. This is like the way that we see that one map getting won here by the Valiant, and maybe even bringing us into that map 5 that Zoe was foretelling.
You know, Necro, I don't know what the script says out here, but with Custo owning the Valiant, you know, and playing as a support for the Titans, it's very conflicting.
Now.
Yeah, the defense against the Dark Arts Professor has struck again for Jaws, unfortunately, as Custo, you know, hiding behind Faith and Crimzo for the Titan support lineup. Now seeing what we got in store for us, Paintbrush 2 coming in thanks to Custo owning the Valiant. No, but on the real here, seeing this change up between the Valiant and Titans, it was very dominating for the Titans on that last map. It was a lot closer on that first map on AP. But now wondering, with the Titans, they figured things out. You know, Sugar Free has been very enabled by Aspire. We're seeing some nice angles and antis coming in from Crimzo, and Punk playing as aggressive as he can, as he usually does.
Yeah, the Titans just seem like a well-oiled machine at this point. Maybe it looked a little bit shaky on that very first map of Antarctic Peninsula, but really started to turn things around just to be a very dominant force in this match. I do want to call back, though, that the LA Valiant seemed to be a little bit off kilter with their ultimate usage, using 5 ultimates to try to keep the defense in their favor. It's Aspire doing Aspire things, so I'm going to keep going because that's just how we would expect to see things from the Titans. So yeah, I think the Valiant just need to take a little bit of a short breath, maybe try to figure out how they want to approach things in terms of just the ultimate usage here, because they really did get off kilter with that. And I don't know what else we expected here, Vicky. Aspire, Sugar Free, popping off on the DPS. Name a more iconic duo.
It was even funnier just seeing Faith just get summoned, like as if Aspire just sent out his Pokemon to help cover his back real quick. I mean, that was so quick. Sugar Free too, got your back. Find you a DPS duo like Sugar Free to make sure that Sober won't be hacking your Widow, especially when you got these open sidelines. Oh my goodness, the accretion following up, as well as Aspire finding Nas again, who just came back from spawn, by the way. Love these angles that we're seeing, but this is expected, especially on Junkertown. It's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Seeker trying to find Aspire. He did get that shot in, but Seeker managed to get away in time.
So this is a big reset here for the LA Valiant. Aspire just constantly has all of these corners on lockdown, forcing Valiant over towards the cliffs. Now they're going to try to rotate onto the high ground and force Punk down the stairs. But Punk is still taking an aggressive approach. Seeker's going to have to try to contest with Aspire, but it's kind of more of the same when you've got the momentum behind you and the wind in your sails. Aspire gonna be winning out those duels.
He's found 4 themes already so far here. Seeker probably had to do something himself, you know? He already used up the Gravitic Flex earlier. He's like, all right, now I gotta find Aspire in the back, like a little side-by-side. As you can see, the payload is still moving, by the way. Nas is, okay, I mean, mind your own business. He's gonna be able to get it. Oh, he got it. He got it. Biopixel, he backcaps. Are you kidding me? With all of his strength trying to shield bash to get there with just a toe. It doesn't matter. Aspire could diff Seeker if he needs to. It doesn't matter because Nas still gets that point. Meanwhile, the Valiant are still getting mopped. And Titans are like, all right, guys, come on.
I feel like Aspire's gonna be so mad now. Absolutely angry.
Oh my goodness.
Look at all the work that he put into that first point. And it still got captured under their noses. They were so focused on what was in front of them that they didn't realize that.
I mean, to be fair, the EMP does find 2. Punk gets deleted, but I was gonna say here, with the way the Titans were holding that middle ground, down that sideline, they were feeling themselves. I mean, it happens to all of us. Now the Valiant gets some room. You can thank Nas later because they're going to be able to also get that next corner. Still giving Titans enough time to set up on the high ground for that second point.
Yeah, Nas is putting the team right now into the backpack and like the back cap. You got the EMP there as well, which was a really nice touch for the Valiant to actually get some progress onto this cart through the streets phase. You still need to figure out when you're going to end up using something like the Gravitic Flux. Seeker now actually getting a little bit of a bop onto Aspire. Maybe this is now Valiant feeling themselves a little bit.
They have to do something. Got to ego check sometimes here, especially with the way that Aspire was trying to run away with it at the very beginning. The rally was popped earlier on. Nice accretion coming into Mortality Field, helping out Punk just restabilize. He then gets hacked by Nas. And Matrix is going to be able to clear that spot around the corner. The disengage coming in now from the Valiant as they try to take a different approach. See, probably now trying to take the high ground.
I was a really great rally there from Paintbrush, and I want to call out just how nice the kiting was as well around Sugar Free's blade, but you can't go into a tiny room with a Brigitte with a rally. That spells disaster.
And he needed to reset anyway. You know, he got up the high ground by himself. I was expecting him to reset a little earlier than that. Nobody from the Valiant was there to back up Cry when he wanted to go for the high ground. So now they get to finally regroup together. They'll have the Amp Matrix. They'll have Cry's Gravitic Flux getting in, as well as Punk. So they're going to have to match that soon here after Faith had used that rally previously.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I think the rallies here, now that they're off the table, you're looking at something like that Amp Matrix from CJ to really put the pressure onto the Titans' defense. Titans absolutely are going to start to back up from this one.
Gravitic Flux for Gravitic Flux covering both angles from the approach. Both of these teams here, Mortality is going to get deleted. They're trying to match that too. Sugar Free falling probably low. Spire does get hacked in the back, and he checks Nas for it. Cry's gonna meet him right back in the spawn, and Punk doing what he does best, clearing the rest of the Valiant in these tight corners, in these corridors with the 3K, deleting them, and look how aggressive they're getting to. Whatever they got back tapped, you know, there's 60 seconds on the clock and counting going down for the Valiant to get that second checkpoint.
All right, Punk went to math class. I think he maybe has a degree in geometry or whatever you want to call it. That was really, really great positioning from Punk, and also just being able to keep Valiant here brings them down to a final fight. Oh, Crow eats the dragons, though.
Oh, that was huge there. Love it, because now still Valiant can approach off this high ground. It's going to force the Titans to respect them. Taking different angles here too. See the lamp coming in to help out Sugar Free, enable him to find Seeker and Paintbrush on the low ground before putting in even extra pressure onto Kari to go for the reset.
Why?
Yeah, it's 4 here. Yeah, Crimson and Punk do go down. But the Valiant are going to start rolling in. Crawley took advantage of that EMP necro from Nas. That was great because that was right after Sugar Free had already invested into the blade. They haven't completely cleared out the point, but it still forces the Titans off when overtime is now online for Valiant.
Yeah, I agree. So, yes, I think that the EMP there has absolutely helped out the situation. It has bought enough time for the Valiant to come back into this one. I just personally would have loved to see it for these final moments when you know the Titans have to approach the point to be able to defend you. And now look at Punk, just completely set up for success.
And Crimson unchecked on the high ground. Gravitic Flux as overtime has nobody to touch the point from the Valiant. Cleared out right before that second point finish line. Necra Titans, they don't care if you back cap, they don't care if they C9. You can see the way that Punk was playing so far. The rest of this team were absolutely having fun and feeling themselves.
Yeah, at that point, I think that the Titans were still able to turn it around, but oh my god, maybe mentally boomed a little bit there. They all want the bag. They all want the bag. Punk's like, I'm broke now.
They're focused on that money. The money bags, Punk coming through.
Oh, it's so funny. Well, this is going to still be a tough battle ahead for the Valiant. We saw how much impact Aspire was having with being able to get those picks on the Widowmaker. We're going to have to maybe see a little bit more of that if they're going to expect Seeker to be on the Widowmaker as well. But the defensive side, I mean, if you're playing the Widow and you were able to get those picks and just keep being able to keep the attack at bay, then I think you feel really good about that one. But Punk, let's go back to geometry, kids. The accretion onto Nos, able to get the immortality field out of the way, just to be able to follow up on the paintbrush as well. That's an A+ right there.
Oh man. And then right afterwards, use the gravitic slug, stop them from trying to reset the overtime. We talked about Punk in the last map. We're gonna talk about him again here too. Accretion lands were amazing. Been able to get 3 accretion kills, 3 gravitic flux kills here too, as Seeker tries to go for a nice cheeky pick over on the back. Trying to call out Faith, who goes in for the other rotate onto the high ground. You see that split push now coming in from the Titans.
So I really like Aspire's choice here to go for the Hanzo instead. It does leave him a little bit vulnerable for Seeker being able to just hit him in the dome like that, but with the Hanzo, you're able to play a little bit closer to the team and not necessarily need to get that one pick potential. On the attacking team as well, it's a little bit harder to actually find value with the snipers, unless you're able to get like 2 picks, just because of how close his defensive spawns can be.
Just seeing how Nas has been able to do a good job at checking Aspire. This time around hacking Punk, who takes one of those sniper shots from Seeker down mid, going for the reset. Seeker trying to find another angle here. Almost gives it to him. CJ also falling incredibly low. Trying to duke it out face to face here. Punk gets hacked again. Nas has been on top of these hacks. Nice immortality field, as well as the animators now coming in from Crimzo. Paint push in the line of fire, as well as CJ. That's a backline for the Valiant. Out from this defense now as Sugar Free dives in. We saw this Genji put in work on Havana. Now we're seeing Sugar Free trying to shine here. Avoids the accretion, slip and slide like he's in the Matrix here, as he's able to finish up Pride with Punk.
Only using the amplification matrix there, gonna feel really good about that one. Now that the Titans are able to move forward, they're just gonna take this aggressive stance. This buys them a lot of time for this cart to move forward, maybe even makes this into a one fight and win, one and done here. But they do have to contend with Nas's EMP, and there isn't really a great way for them to be able to do that sustainably without maybe Faith staying out of the way and coming in for that rally.
Also thinking Sugar Free out here too, but he does get caught in the huge EMP, finding 4. The immortality field also coming in just in time. That window is activated from CJ, clearing out that entire side room off the high ground, forcing the Titans to try to reposition if they want to try to recontest on that rotate. See Sugar Free ready with the blade. Yes, they use up that EMP, but they didn't get the follow-ups maybe that they needed. The gravitic flux and the accretion on top of it as the rally comes in from Paintbrush. Probably falls incredibly low. They stop him again. He dives in. Somebody stop Sugar Free. They see him in their face. And the rest of the Titans clear out that high ground from the Valiant. The shiny box of victory Necker right in front of them.
Yep, I think they can just take this forward positioning once again. Punk is going to go ahead and play up towards the doors, body block, and that's it. That's it. Sugar Free, you can't even do that to them. How are they going to do that? Punk was in the way.
Hey, look at his face. They're smiling. They're having a good time out here. The Titans coming out on top of Junkertown, taking the series. The Valiant nowhere to be seen to contest. Of course, it's the contention right there. I mean, the Titans look great, but I also want to highlight the individual performances between Sugar Free, Aspire, Punk. Obviously, we saw what he did at the very end of that first round when they were on the defense. You love to see it here for this team. I love to see more of the Titans, especially when we highlighted Sugar Free so much yesterday. It's difficult. They were up against the Florida Mayhem, but they still did a really good job at keeping it even, and now they take their victory over the Valiant Necra.
I think that's a great start for the season. Florida Mayhem have been really high up on everybody's power rankings after their performance during the Pro-Am, and to make that series competitive and also have a great performance today for a win under their belt, I think they're starting to look at that finish line, the goal of being able to make it to that mid-season madness. I feel like that's everybody's goal right now. What a way for Vancouver Titans to kick off the season.
Yeah, I love it. I love to call out the individual performances too that we've seen from a lot of the players here on the Titans, because we saw Aspire have his shining moments, especially when it comes to looking down those sidelines. He was getting those important picks off the very beginning. Sugar Free, I like giving him a lot of that attention, but we gotta look at Aspire, who had such a large impact for that series. Player of the match is going to go in favor to Aspire. We saw those Hanzo plays on the high ground. We saw how hard both Nas and Seeker were trying to boot him off all that positioning, and also just want to talk about the communication coming in from the Titans. You could see there was a lot of follow-ups coming in from Punk. Aspire doing a really good job of following with the headies between Kari and Nas, even forcing the Valiant to change things up a lot too when they realized that their initial attack at least, was not working in their favor when they tried to Reaper comp.
Yeah, Spire, I just like, I feel like the stats, the plays, everything kind of speaks for itself here. Even on Kings Row, we were mentioning that just the heavy lifting that Aspire was doing just to be able to enable the team. Got some great opening picks every single time they were on the Hanzo or the Widowmaker. And you can see there as well, just also the final blows, the elims, that speaks volumes to how Titans were able to get the job done today.
Especially for that one match that we just saw right now, too. A final map for 7.8k damage done out here. Almost 20 elims, 10 final blows, too. We highlighted Punk. Falls were incredible out here. I like the cheeky angles that we saw from him earlier on, and his survivability was also next level.
Yeah, I think you can thank the backline for that.
Yeah.
Like maybe a little bit of self-sufficiency there when you're playing the Widowmaker, but at the end of the day, you saw how much healing was really coming through from Crimzo, how often those nano boosts were coming online during Kings Row, and just Faith as well. Nice way to enable the team, whether it's going to be through those health packs or the Speedy Lucio.
Also contesting, too, with those shield bastards. You love to see it. You love to see our final series done for the day. I'm going to be tossing it over to the desk. That's going to be it from us, guys. Thank you so much.
That's it. Welcome everyone to the Watchpoint post-show. Zoe here, joined by Danny, Jake, and Jonathan. And we got a match to break it down. Not as close as some would have hoped.
Right? Not a 3-1.
3-0!
3-0, baby!
3-0!
Not a 3-2.
That was a dominant performance from the Vancouver Titans.
Oh.
However, still some cleanup work to do. There were a few mistakes, a few little hiccups, which they should not happen, guys.
Yeah, of course. But the Valiant, they made them work for it. They made them work for it. And this is a completely new team, a lot of rookies on it. So, yes, I wanted to see a map win out of the Valiant, but my hopes weren't completely dashed. There were some signs of life there.
I'd agree with that. It was, again, a good showing from the Vancouver Titans, though. Like I mentioned yesterday, I think that this Vancouver Titans roster, it is a roster with pretty considered league average players, and they're hungry, right? They want to punch above their weight. They want to take it to teams like Toronto Defiance, Boston Uprising. How do we compete with the Florida Mayhem? So it's a very interesting roster to follow throughout the season, because I think they're going to be considered underdogs in a lot of these series, and we're going to see the journey for these players as they try to level up their game, as they try to compete with these top teams, right? So Vancouver Titans, this is a match we expected them to win, and they did so with relative ease. But moving forward, I think that the Vancouver Titans is going to be one of the most interesting teams to follow in the league.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely agree with that. And again, like yesterday, there were a lot of great moments in their match against the Florida Mayhem, which has been hailed as, one of the pink juggernauts in our league here next to Hangzhou Spark. So for them to have just overall, despite that first loss, a really great first week in this season, that bodes well, not just for the players, but for all the fans watching. And we now, of course, have one of the absolute fan favorites joining us for a winner's interview, and that is no other than Punk. Congratulations on the W.
Punk!
And thank you so much for joining us.
How's it going?
Hey, Punk!
Hi, Pug!
Good to see you.
Good to see ya.
Good to see you guys in the new studio, looking clean.
Yeah! Thank you.
I'm gonna start off this interview. I mean, congratulations on getting this win. I want you to be honest. Did you actually expect this match with the LA Valiant to go as smoothly as it did? Did you actually expect 3-0 even before the match started?
Yeah, I mean, after yesterday, we kind of just wanted to get the 3-0 and make sure that we send a bit of a message.
Not sure if that message was fully sent, but that's C9. But,
Oh, well.
Tried our best. 3-0 on the scorecard, so.
All right, Punk, I gotta know. I want you to call him out. Whose fault was it? Who should have touched Car? You're the tank player. You're Sigma. You gotta get in. You gotta deal damage. You gotta charge the ultimate. All these mobile heroes around the map. Which one of them should have touched Car? I want a name.
Well, I mean, it was really our Widow, I think, dying to the Sombra, which allowed the back cap, so I'm going to blame it on Aspire, I think.
Yeah, it's always I appreciate that. Aspire, you've been called out. Don't lose the 1v1 next time. Punk's watching you.
He's looking at me right now.
He's in the room. All right. I'm causing some team drama. I'm sorry about that.
Punk, it's been looking good for you adapting to the tank role, and it seems like you're improving by the day. So, great showing today from you. Do want to ask you, though, now that you're kind of situated, in this main tank role, you're playing the Winston, but also some Ramatra today. How do you level up? Like, what is the next step for you, and how do you get it where you're competing against some of the best tank players in the world?
I think a lot of improving at the top level, you kind of just have to look at the guys who are doing a bit better than you. So obviously the number one Winstons like Someone or Fearless, take something from their game and then look at the Western tanks. So you just got to keep looking for things in other people's play to kind of adapt into your own or just make you think about your own play. So that's what I'm going to keep doing, and hopefully the Winston gets there.
With enough time, we'll see the Punk Fearless impression. I'm looking forward to that, man.
Yeah,
that's going to be good.
Lots to look forward to. Punk, we're going to let you go now. Thank you so much for joining us for a quick chat, and best of luck in the next game.
No worries. See you later.
Thank you, Punk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Always great to hear from Punk. Vancouver Titans getting their first W on the scoreboard, and a quality loss yesterday against the Florida Mayhem as well. So overall, a really great showing in that first week of the season. Now let's take a look at our scores of the day and recap a little bit, or walk down memory lane of all the matches we had today. We started things off with the New York Excelsior and the Atlanta Reign. That was a 3-0. Very dominant showing, of course, from the Atlanta Reign, which is exactly what we all expected. Houston Outlaws and the Gladiators, 3-0.
Some of us expected.
Yep, some of us called it. Others did not.
There was a bit of a luck involved in there.
There's a lot of luck in a 3-0.
I mean, I think Gladiators win that match 9 out of 10 times. Just happened to be the 1 out of 10 times.
Oh, wow. Johnny's spending a lot of time in parallel universes recently, so I'm excited to see
He's
what
on a
comes out
journey,
next.
that's all right.
All right, well, what do? You win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Jake would know.
Fair. I'll own that.
Oh, well. Don't have a good transitions, but I want to talk about headlines here, although that could make my headline, because I like a good banter. There we go. That was my segue into our headlines of the day. We're going to kick things off actually with you. Jake, what tickled your fancy today?
For me, I've got to say it's Winstonable. I'm really excited for this meta as a devoted supporter by a C for the Houston Outlaws.
Oh my God, you're talking about Houston Outlaws again. Please stop talking about the Houston Outlaws.
All right, Johnny. All right, Johnny. Let me go a little deeper.
A lot of big feelings.
Let me go a little
that is
deeper.
okay.
I can see this is a touchy subject for you as the one failed prediction of that match, but what I mean to say is that I think Houston is the best Winston team. I think Fearless is the top Winston. I mean, Punk mentioned him as one of the best. I think their lineup is just fully set for this comp, and I think it will end up being the meta. Even Gladiators, they didn't even try playing their Matra comp. They didn't even really try playing Rush comps. They did a little bit on the third map, and it didn't end up working. And so for me, what that says is that we're looking towards a Winston meta for the top teams, and it's a good time to be a Winston team, a team comfortable, ready to bring it out. So for Punk's sake, I hope he's ready to bring out that Winston sooner rather than later. I think that's where the meta's going here at the start of the season.
I'm starting to see like a green aura around Jake.
Green,